Once the band was placed by the president of the board of directors, Porfirio Muñoz Ledo, the president thanked his outgoing counterpart, Enrique Pena Nieto, for his attention, but, above all, I acknowledge the fact of not having intervened, as did other presidents, in the last presidential elections. It will present reforms to establish the welfare state. The new head of the federal executive explained that more than 3 decades under the neoliberal model have seriously damaged Mexico. I say this with realism and without ideological prejudices. Neoliberal economic policy has been a disaster. For example, he explained that in this period the purchasing power of the minimum wage has deteriorated by 60% and the salary of Mexicans is among the lowest in the world. We have twice as many diabetes patients compared to Latin American countries. During the neoliberal period we became the second country in the world with greater migration. 24 million Mexicans live and work in the United States. And as for violence, we are in the first places in the world. Therefore, he explained one of his first commitments as President of Mexico: today I formally present to this Congress constitutional reform projects to the Constitution, to establish the welfare state and guarantee the people's right to health, education, and social security. As of today, he said, the state will take care of reducing social inequalities, social justice will not continue to be displaced from the government's agenda. Domestic and foreign investments are safe and there will be good returns. He explained that the government of Mexico will take various measures that will channel the economy. We will not spend more than what goes into public finances. Contracts signed by previous governments will be respected, but there will be no more corruption or influence in negotiations with private companies. I promise, and I am a man of my word, that the investments of national and foreign shareholders will be safe and conditions will be created even to obtain good returns, because in Mexico there will be honesty, rule of law, clear rules, economic growth, and there will be trust. He also endorsed the commitment to respect the autonomy of the Bank of Mexico, and added that the preparation of the budget that will make possible the rescue of the electrical and oil industries is in process. Nothing has harmed more than the dishonesty of the rulers. López Obrador explained that one of the axes of action of the government of Mexico will be to eradicate corruption and impunity, closely linked to the economic model that prevailed until today. The hallmark of neoliberalism is corruption. It sounds strong, but privatization has been synonymous with corruption in Mexico. Unfortunately, this evil has almost always existed in our country, but what happened during the neoliberal period is unprecedented in these times that the system as a whole has operated for corruption. Political power and economic power have fed and nurtured each other and the theft of the assets of the people and the wealth of the nation has been implemented as a modus operandi. The president explained that the fourth transformation is responsible for converting honesty and fraternity into a way of life and government, to reverse the profound crisis that occurred in Mexico because of the failure of the neoliberal economic model and the predominance of the most filthy corruption, public and private. In other words, as we have repeated for many years, nothing has harmed Mexico more than the dishonesty of the rulers and the small minority that has made a profit with influentialism. That is the main cause of economic and social inequality, and also of the insecurity and violence we suffer. The state's response will be to end with privileges at all levels of public administration, implement the Republican austerity plan and, above all, establish an important limit: the separation of economic power from political power. The government will no longer be a simple facilitator for looting, as has been happening. The government is no longer going to be a committee at the service of a rapacious minority. It will represent rich and poor, believers and free thinkers, and all Mexican and Mexican women, regardless of ideologies, sexual orientation, culture, language, place of origin, educational level, or socio-economic position. There will be a true state of law, as the phrase of our 19th century liberals sums it up: outside the law, nothing, and above the law, nobody. I have no right to fail, AMLO. During his speech, the incoming president said that this historic day is the product of decades of struggle without leaving dignity on the road, and recognized fighters and activists who made this moment possible. I remember those who started this movement, those who sowed what we are now reaping. Social leaders, politicians, many who came before us, but were the precursors of this struggle, of this movement. We will never forget them. He stressed that he is aware of the challenges he faces. I am prepared not to fail my people. Now that I was coming here, a young man paired a bicycle and said, "You have no right to fail us." And that is the commitment I have with the people. I have no right to fail.